In today's day and age, manhood is in crisis. And I'm going to go ahead and go over three things that need to be addressed in order to fix it. Hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Welcome to my channel, Young Manhood. So first, let me start by saying how I know manhood is in crisis. And I know manhood is in crisis in a way that that may sound unconventional, how I know, but I know manhood is in crisis by the way men complain about certain things that are going on in their lives. I know for a fact if they had these three things in their lives that were being addressed and implemented, they wouldn't have none of the complaints that they're currently having, especially when it comes to women, when it comes to just general life happiness, when it comes to just whatever your goals are in life. When I hear men make certain complaints, online or in person, when I hear men making certain statements, I know for a fact that this man is severely lacking in three key areas of manhood. So, number one is standards. If a man does not have standards for the people in his inner circle, the people that are around him, the people that are in his life on a day-to-day basis, if this man doesn't have any type of standards for what he's willing to accept, what he's willing to deal with, he's going to have some major issues in his life dealing with people in general. The people around him, since you don't have standards, they're just going to act and treat you however they see fit. They're not going to know where the boundaries are. They're not going to be aware of when they're overstepping their boundaries and when they're getting out of line with you or just in general. They're not going to be aware because you don't have any laid out standards. You're not letting people know what you're willing to accept. You're not letting people know what you consider to be inappropriate, especially when it relates to you. A man must always have standards when it comes to that. And when a man does not have standards, when it comes to the people in his life, he's always going to have issues, always. I've never met a man that had no standards, that had success in anything, any aspect of life. Standards are a necessity, they're a key, and it starts with you first. You as a man, you have to have standards for yourself first. And when you have standards for yourself first, it's much easier to implement standards on those around you in your inner circle and to set boundaries when you are complying with your own standard from the jump. They're a necessity, you must have them. And let's use an example. So as far as a standard that I have myself, one of the standards that I have are you have to speak to me in a respectful way. That's one of the standards that I've always had my entire life, that I can remember, even as a young man coming up, even younger than I already am, even as a young teen, just coming up in life. I've always had a standard where you can't just talk to me crazy. You can't talk to me any kind of way, and I'm just going to sit back and just tolerate it. And I'm not gonna check you and let you know, like, hey, if you're gonna talk to me, you gotta speak with me with respect. You can't just say whatever you feel like saying to me and expect me not to check you on it, or expect me not to say something about it, and expect me not to stand up to you about it. And if you keep continuing to violate that standard that I have, you're no longer gonna be part of my life. I'm just gonna tell you straight up, I'm not gonna deal with you because you keep overstepping your boundary. You keep violating the standard that I have. You have to speak with me. You have to speak to me with respect, with something that I've always had since I can remember. So I'm just one example of standards, but of course there are countless standards that a person could implement or could have an expectation for, and of course that's based on the individual, because some people, they don't really mind that type of thing. But I would always look at what is practical and what is effective, and I would always try to use other people as a baseline or as a guideline for what standards you should start developing as a man, as a person, to see what works. There's no point in trying to reinvent the wheel, so to speak. There's no point in trying to come up with standards that are unrealistic for yourself, and then you place those same unrealistic standards on other people. That's just going to waste time. It's not going to be effective. It's not going to do you any good to have unrealistic standards. So you need to know what standards are realistic for you as a person, and then from there you can and try to enforce that with the people around you in your life. Number two, respect. A man must demand and expect respect from those people around him in his life. Without having an expectation or standard of respect, and I actually mentioned that as my example for a standard, this is a standard that a man must have. There's no doubt about it. If you're a man that does not have a standard of you got to respect me as a person, you are most definitely not embracing manhood at all. You're not. Just to be blunt, you're really not. Because that is an absolute necessity to even accomplish your goal as a man. You can't even be a protector to the people around you if nobody respects anything that you do. Nobody respects you. So of course, it's on you to act respectable, carry yourself with respect. You got to respect yourself first. You got to earn that respect also. Pretty much in general in life, it's best to just view it as something that you need to earn. Even though people's can be opinionated when it comes to whether or not you should earn a certain level of respect or whether or not you should be given a certain level of respect, I would say that both are true. You should have a certain level of respect for people in general when it just comes to interacting with people, even if you don't know them personally. But of course, there is that higher level of respect where you will trust this person to the fullest. You will put your life in this person's hand, or you just have such a high level of admiration because you know this person has sacrificed a lot for you, or they're just a person that sacrifices in general, or they're just a very good person, and you just have a high level of respect for them because you respect their values and you respect their morality. Respect is a key. It's a must, and it's something that a man must have. And any man that does not have that expectation and does not try to maintain himself, but also you got to demand it as well on certain levels. There has to be a certain level of respect that's always there, regardless of how you're even acting as a man. Regardless of if you're screwing up constantly, you're doing a bunch of stuff that you shouldn't be doing. Regardless, there should still be a certain level of respect that's maintained by the people that are still in your life. Even if you are a complete screw up and you're doing nothing right, as I've said, and I'll explain why. The reason why is once that respect is gone, there's really no purpose in you trying to maintain whatever situation you have with that person. There's no point. Once the respect is gone, you should be gone. Because you're not going to be effective at any endeavor you have with any person. If they don't respect you at all, there's no point in even continuing with having any type of a relationship with that person. Doesn't even matter if it's a family member. If a family member has zero respect for you, there's no point in even having that person part of your inner circle. I'm not saying that you can't love them from a distance, but respect is key for anyone that's in your inner circle. Even if you're messing up, even if you're making mistakes, a certain level of respect should always be demanded regardless. But with that being said as well, you also need to try to maintain a higher level of respect. So you want to do right, you know what you should be doing. You should act accordingly in certain ways. You know what other people's standards are as well. So you need to respect other people's standards that they may have for you or expectations. So you need to conduct yourself in a respectable way. So of course it's on you as well, of course. And the third thing that must be addressed as far as manhood goes in today's society is leadership. A man's got to have some level of leadership in him. He has to have it. What I'm noticing today is a lot of men tend to have either fear or they're just not capable. They're just incapable males or men when it comes to leadership. They're not able to lead effectively, lead in a way that is based in logic, that is based in being practical, that is based on positive, yielding good results, yielding positive results that are beneficial to you and the people in your life, the people that you're leading. You got to focus on being a better leader in life as a man. That's something that must be addressed, because you don't want to be a man that doesn't want to embrace that role and doesn't want to take charge. Because as a man, whether you know it or not, whenever you're in a relationship with a woman or just with your family in general, you have an expectation on you that is unique to you being a man, despite what anyone might disagree about or have to say about it. The man by default is the protector. Men by default are protectors, are deemed protectors by the women in their lives. Even if a woman will consciously say, oh, I can protect myself, as I've already mentioned this in a previous video. If something happens, your mom's going to expect you to jump in there and do something. Your girlfriend's going to expect you to jump in there and do something. Your wife is going to expect you to jump in there and do something if something's really happening. If somebody's breaking into your home, you're expected to act as a protector. You are. And one of the best ways to protect is to also have leadership qualities about yourself. If no one's willing to follow your leadership, it's going to be much more difficult to act as a good protector if you are not also a good leader. They go hand in hand. You have to be able to lead in order to properly protect. If you try to lead someone somewhere and they don't trust your leadership ability, they know you don't move with wisdom, they know that you're not a good critical thinker, they know you don't make good decisions, they're not going to trust in your leadership. And you may have had a good idea, but because you're not known for having any good leadership qualities about yourself, people around you, they may not trust in your leadership. And that's something that you need to strive to be better at. If you're someone that is lacking in leadership ability, as a man, it's something that's very much needed. If you have children, if you have a wife, if you have a girlfriend, they will instinctually look up to you for some level of leadership. That's just what it is. So you as a man, you might as well accept that will be the case. And they're actually happier when you as a man, you can just effectively take charge, but you know what you're doing. And this is women and children. And really, this is some men also. If you just know how to take charge and you know how to lead and you know what you're doing, people will appreciate that in a man. That is something that's always valued in a man, especially by I would say higher caliber of women. They love having a man that is more capable, that knows what he's doing. And I just wanted to briefly touch on those three issues that must be addressed: standards, respect, leadership. If these three things can be addressed in young men growing up today, we can better combat this crisis that I'm seeing today of manhood. And of course, people will have many different opinions on what they believe is causing the crisis. As a man, you should be solution-based. So you should be focusing on what you have control over within yourself first. So focus on that first to address the issue. If you want to do other things to address the issue, you can also do that as well. But without focusing inwardly and addressing yourself as an individual, complaining and crying about certain things going on in society as a whole is not going to help you as the individual. It's not going to help you in your lifetime. So focus on you first. This has been Young Manhood. Please click the like button, the share button, and the subscribe button. Thank you.